bunch of sawdust at the bottom of it, I just noticed. You guys kind of see that piece. Hope y'all having a good day. This will probably upload later on, so if you're checking this out later, give me a thumbs up. Hit subscribe, hit that bell, hit all, so miss future lives and uploads. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. Hey, baby kisses. What is going on? Working on some smalls. Got to lay down some color. Actually have a small event this weekend, and I'm typical, running behind. Like, what's new, right? Hope y'all doing good out there. Paint's acting like it's clogging up already. That's going to be annoying. What's going on, Tony? Little fox. Going for a little fox. However, already running into airbrush issues. See, I love these bottles, but after they sit for a little bit, you know, you get the paint's down to here roughly. It separates depending on the color or the usage, and then the dry stuff flakes off, and well, keeps clogging up my airbrush. So we got the big nozzle on this one. Hopefully you can kind of just blast it out of there. Hope you're all doing well. I had the intentions of going live with you guys earlier this week, but I had malfunction with the cell phone. The microphone on my cell phone decided it was just not gonna microphone anymore. Just suddenly decided it was no longer gonna work. Hopefully y'all can hear me today. My phone took like a little toothpick and a Q-tip and was cleaning out the charging port and wiping it all down, and then dry. I didn't even put nothing on there as chemicals or anything. And then the microphone worked for a live with you guys. And then I went live on TikTok and it didn't work. And then my son called me from in the house, and I kept saying, "What, dude? I'm here. Hello." And he couldn't hear me. And my wife called me and couldn't hear me. She was at work. And then I went in the house, was talking to my son. He's like, "Yeah, dude, Dad, it just sounds like static." Well, we'll see if that's any better. We're on the Wi-Fi. Just switched off the Wi-Fi to cell service out here in the shop. We'll see if it's working or not. Losing all my viewers, though. There's Tony. What is up, man? Trying to get my airbrush working. So I don't know, maybe I could do some work here. Was working, and then it decided to stop doing its thing. Hope y'all having a good week. It's just about over. It's just about over. Your regular work week. I got a small event I'm going to be performing at this weekend. It's called the H&C Benefit Club. Somewhat local people will know what it's about, but small event that they do. Nothing crazy, but I'm going to carve live, usually from like noon to 5. I'll carve throughout the day, you know, through noon to 5, and then that'll be that. If we make some sales, hopefully we'll make some sales, you know. The event is hit or miss on how well it does. What's up, Jason? Yeah, it's been a minute since I've been on here, honestly. I was just saying I had some issues with my phone. I ended up having to get a new phone, and that kind of puts a damper on live feeds. Oh, where did that go? There it is. The microphone on my phone stopped working. And I could go live if I wanted to use my AirPods, but I'll tell you what, I tried making videos with those, and this is awful. Yeah, so it was a couple weekends ago, I carved live in Saratoga Springs, New York at the City Center, and I made a bunch of these pieces. Not that eagle, but I did this and the fox and bears and moose and stuff for people. That's what they wanted to see. I carved those up live, and I do those events. I don't usually try to finish the piece there. I always bring it back home to finish it. I want to add some color, but I'm not looking to like make this look like ultra heavy paint color. Don't really want to have that look. I want to be able to have some of the burn shine through. Hope you're all doing good. Appreciate everybody being here. If there's anybody watching that's interested in work, you can check out that shopping bag. I've got pieces completed and ready to be shipped out right in there. Shipping's included. So basically it's free shipping to the United States already there. Knocked down the prices on a couple items that were on there. So if you were looking at anything in the past, it's always worth taking a second look. Trying to figure out that happy medium for online sales. I feel like prices are always a forever changing thing for me. One year a price that works really well seems to not work the next year. Appreciate everybody tuning in though. I was live once doing this and I had a woman get upset that I was airbrushing. She said I was going to break my airbrush because I was using it for too much paint. That was the silliest comment I think I've ever received on live. I said, ma'am, I don't think that's how it works. Got a little rain out here. Rainy day. Turning wrenches on some equipment earlier today. Got the wood stove fired up out here though. It is actually a bit warmer than I would like out here right now. It's a bit toasty. The tough part with airbrushing small pieces like this is the amount of time. Instead of farting around with the airbrush and all this and twisting this piece around and, you know, spilling paint on his nose because I wasn't paying attention, we could have had this whole thing an orange in seconds with the aerosol can, but then he would just be like a solid color. If you're a new carver, kind of think it would really depend on you what route you want to go. If you want to airbrush or if you want to use rattle can. Stand by. What's going on, Kirsten? Thin those paints out. Thin those paints out. Fox. Thin those paints out with your airbrush. Like right now, this stuff's getting a little thick. Don't have very good coverage. Usually it's covering much better. But it's going to be one of those days where I'm going to fight colors, I think, all night. So, good times. I'd like to get one more coat of orange on there before I switch colors out. I need a little white and some black, kind of round off this little fox I'm working on. Once again, now, this is acting as though it's clogged up on me, and that's enough to drive you crazy. There we go. Might have broke that loose. Like there is relaxing about airbrushing though. But if you're a beginner carver, or you're trying to make money doing this, you can go two routes, right? You can use rattle can. I never recommend using a paintbrush, unless they're tiny ones for the eyes. You can use spray paint though, you know. You can get a really nice look with spray paint. I do that a lot. When time is of the essence and I need to get a job done, use spray paint. Bears are easy. They solid black, right? Or a solid brown. That makes spray paint easy to use. Comes to other animals though. Sometimes I like to use the airbrush. Get some different tones in there with the burnt wood or highlights. I enjoy adding highlights, which is pretty easy with black. You can add, you know, highlights on everything except bears, unless you add brown ones. Little detail stuff though, bring your piece to life. You get good at it, and you can ask for more money on those pieces. Yeah, thin a little, just a little, because if you go too thin, it's going to make it very transparent. So I'll show you my testing board. This was kind of thick and heavy. It was spraying great and it started clogging. Then I just thinned it, and this is what I got after. You guys can see, thick, thin. So you got to kind of be careful. I just use water-based, exterior water-based paints. They're considered a stain, but they're like a solid base paint. I don't even remember who makes it now, but the hardware store had it. I think they said it was a solid stain, exterior solid stain. However, it's water-based. With it being water-based, you can thin it with water and clean it up with water. Makes that part of your work so much easier. Makes changing colors easier. I will say that is probably the biggest pain in the butt when you're airbrushing, swapping colors. So if you're in a groove carving up something like this, a lot of this from the show, so I got a bunch of different pieces. Carve up half a dozen fox before you start finishing them, you know, get them all done and ready for paint. Then you only gotta clean a couple colors, you know. You're not trying to do all these multiple jobs with multiple colors, unless you really enjoy it. But sometimes also things come into play, like time is money, you know. So if you're doing it to pay the bills, time can be something you're trying to save. But that's where, you know, it really depends on what you're able to, how much you're able to get for your pieces, and if you're looking to grow your skill or get better. Airbrushing is relaxing. I don't mind doing it. Sometimes you get lucky and you come out with a quality looking piece. I know what's going on. I need my this little needle right here. I know some of you will probably ask, if you guys don't know, I use the Pache airbrushes. Usually I tag them, but I didn't tag one in this video. I'm using the siphon fed, not a gravity fed. I want to get a gravity fed. I used to do auto body work in my teenage years, and love the idea of airbrushing cars. So I actually have one I got for my birthday when I was, teenager, still living home. And I'd practice airbrushing work on whatever I could. Like airbrushed flames on my dad's motorcycle, and I did airbrushing on a truck when I bought a truck at 14. Couldn't even drive, but did paint work on it and airbrushed it. Because I learned to do auto body work. My dad knew how to do some, my grandfather. And so we painted up this 87 Chevy S10 I bought, and then I did some airbrush work on it. And then I still have that airbrush. It's actually the same airbrush as this. I think it's like the H series, and it's in the box I've got over here. There's nothing wrong with it. Bought a second one because I thought I would use it to like do multiple colors, but it's too much maintenance. It's a pipe dream. So there seems to be some dry paint in this nozzle, so I have to take this needle, which for those of you that go to Harbor Freight, they got a pretty decent airbrush kit, and this needle will be your friend for cleaning out the nozzles here. Yeah, that's cool. Some deck stain. Any exterior, kind of stuff will hold up well. That's what it's meant for, so that's a plus. There's a plus. And then when you slap some clear coat over it, you get a little extra protection. Oh, come on. I feel like a newbie here going live trying to do stuff. Yeah, pokey pokey. This thing doesn't want to do its job. Airbrushing can go really smooth, or it can be extremely time consuming. Just got a light shade of orange. We're gonna leave it at that. Pokey pokey, because honestly, I wasn't even going to go live tonight. I was going to say the heck with it. I was going to call it an evening, stay in the house, and I was like, you know what? I really want to get a few of these pieces done for this weekend. Here we are. White looks pretty decent. Oh, let's see. A little bit of white. and our ears. We'll add some black. That'll pop. We gotta get white down here in the tail. You can always burn and do burning highlights and all that, but man, you can add just a little bit of color to a piece. You can make it whatever you want sometimes, you know? I mean, we started off, you guys like, ooh, a wolf. Yeah, we add a little bit of orange and some white, and we got a fox. But if I went gray, white with a little bit of black, we'd have had a wolf, you know? It wouldn't have been spot on with the ears and the thin snout, but it would have definitely looked way more like a wolf if we went that route. I'm trying to think of what else I need white for before I swap it out. And we actually do need some white. Because I think I'm going to add color to this piece. We're going to see how this lays out. Not 100% sure. I actually did this piece a couple years ago. It's been sitting in a couple different stores, just not moving. I said, you know what? I'm gonna bring it back. We're gonna just add a little bit of color, and we'll see what happens this year. Back to paint being a pain in the butt. Yeah, an eagle. Things don't always sell. I mean, we've had this Shopify store up now for, I don't know, a couple months. I haven't sold one piece off the Shopify store. Been here on YouTube. I try to mention it, share it on other platforms when I remember to. But that's made me nothing. It's amazing how these things work out sometimes. And that's where it gets frustrating. Can get frustrating some days for sure. So to my new carvers, if you want to get your work online, try out a free site first. Try out a free site. Put your stuff on eBay maybe. I did the whole Shopify to have my work right here with me when I'm live on YouTube and in my videos tagged. And I thought, you know, people see my work and some people ask about it. Where can they get it? So here, I'll tag it, just like where my merch is, you know. And it doesn't produce. It doesn't do anything. I get maybe half a dozen views on the page a week. I've come to realize people don't actually follow links. Like, it just seems like people don't. I don't know. I guess I'm a horrible salesman. All I can do is laugh about it, though. It's like, it is what it is. I would say with all that kind of stuff too, that also makes it tough sometimes to, you know, to carve a ton of stuff and make a ton of videos. See you later, Jason. I didn't even catch that, man. Have a good one, buddy. Thanks for being here. You know, it's tough to want to keep doing new things and trying new stuff when, you know, old stuff doesn't sell. Or you get stuck with a bunch of product because it didn't move or whatever. It's like, ugh, why am I carving a whole bunch of pieces? What's the point? And that is like, sometimes that is the head game. You know, like winters are slow. And so the head game, like in the winter and the slow season, is like tough because you're like, man, why am I carving a bunch of stuff? It's not selling. Like, it's not selling, right? It's wintertime. Nothing's selling. I have way more sales in the summer and in the springtime than in the winter. So it's like, you know, why bust my butt all winter? What the heck is the point? You get that stuck in your head sometimes, but you can get more done in the off season. It's less you got to do when there's nice weather. I tend to be really bad at that, though, because I will just pick up something else that produces all winter right then and there, and I'll do that. And then spring hits, and I'm like, crap. I got to get my stock done. I got to get all this other stuff done. There's that piece, a little bit of white on it. That really makes it pop. If you get stains, if you get those like solid stains, you have the option for solid, semi-solid, or translucent, transparent stains. Go with solid and then thin them. When you thin them out, they become more transparent. So just so you guys know, don't go with the stuff that's already very light. Just go with the solid stain or the solid paint, and then when you thin it out with water, if they're water-based, You're able to put on like these thin layers and build it up as much as you want. I think this looks all right though. I think we'll be done with white. I don't think I need white on anything else, so dump that. I think we will move to, we'll move to black. I mean, our eagle needs some more browns and things. Contemplating if I want to do brown paint on those wings just to kind of highlight them a little more. Or if I want to leave the eagle wings burnt mixed with some paint. But I kind of feel like once I start painting, you know, it brings it to life. So it's kind of like, man, I gotta continue to add paint on the whole piece. Do appreciate everybody tuning in though. I know it's kind of a chill, low-key live. Just doing airbrush work, nothing super crazy. Thanks, baby kisses. This is usually when it's like real talk, you know? Get on these lives and be real about stuff usually. I think once we get nice weather this year, I get my orders caught up. I really gotta zero in on some shock and awe kind of pieces. You know, I'm kind of getting burned out with the smaller stuff, and I'm kind of getting burned out with, like, honestly, the idea of shows and craft fairs, because they don't really produce. So like when I do some shows and craft fairs going forth the rest of this year, if they don't hit numbers and they don't produce what I'm looking for, there's a chance I'm not going to do them again next year. And I don't know if I'm going to add any new ones to my lineup, because setting up for a show just to sell, if you guys have never done that, just to sell can be a lot of work. Sometimes for very little reward. Certain events you can do really, really good at, and others you're like, wow, what am I doing here? What was the point of this? So I've got to figure that stuff out as I get into spring and we head into summer this year. What events I'm going to keep doing and what events I'm not going to be doing. This year I'm giving everybody a fair shake and trying to figure out what I'm going to keep and what I'm going to get rid of for next year. I have work in 5 different stores on top of doing that stuff. So I also have an opportunity to potentially do some other things off screen that I don't know yet. I may pursue more. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. You know, like having some talks and just kind of trying to feel things out. It's just kind of getting to a point where I'm putting forth too much effort and getting very little reward. And I don't mean like here on YouTube. Like, this is enjoyable, being on YouTube and hanging out and talking with people. What I mean is the actual work side of it and certain things. A lot of effort, you know, for shows and money that has to be spent up front to not get to like not make it back or to break even in a weekend is not it's really just not feasible to keep going that route. Now I can stock stores, which I'll probably continue to do. I might even lighten the load on 1 or 2, I'm not sure yet, and then bump up stock for a couple that are doing really, really well every year. But yeah, some craft fairs you don't even break even. I mean, I had one in our area it's a home show. People in our area will be like, oh, if they heard me say it, they know exactly what I'm talking about. Advertisement, absolutely amazing for this home show event. You know, I think it's like $225, $250 for the weekend, a Saturday, Sunday event. You'll have a couple thousand people come through the event. They usually tell you the number at the end of the show. I've done it a few times. And, you know, you have a lot of traffic and things like that, but trying to move a piece, boy, it just seems like you got all you can do. Basically, I would have to take this eagle once complete and say $150, and that would sell. If I put $250 on it, it's not moving. The fox, I put the fox in the store. This fox will sell probably for $130, $135 at a store when we're done. I take it to a craft fair. If I have $100 on it, it's probably going to be too high. I'll probably bring it home. It probably won't sell. That just seems to be the area. It's kind of frustrating sometimes. But that one show, you know, it was a great big event, big home show. Lots of other vendors there and things. And, you know, it was like $225 or $250 for the weekend, but I would make $200 for 2 days. Knowing what the event was, even the last year I went, I took prices and just marked them down because I didn't want to carry all my stuff home. And we didn't even, I didn't think we made $100 that day. I was like, you know, this place, I'm done with this one. That's how those things go, though. They say if you're going to do an event, obviously look into it. See what it's about. See how many people go before you sign up. What the turnaround is. Talk to other vendors that do it, you know. Yeah, Kirsten, that's what I do a lot. I do a lot of consignment. Like I said, I'm in 5 stores, and that's nice. You know, as long as you can keep them stocked. I'm mostly like I was saying, I'm kind of getting burned out with craft fairs and doing events and things like that, and just not getting the return for the work that goes into those things, you know. Even carving live. I mean, you know, even the event I just did, I don't mean to talk badly about it, but man, I really have to contemplate, you know, why I had to contemplate, like, why did I even do this event? Carved live, you know, it's great. Met people, encouraged kids that want to carve, some teenagers that were, we're talking 13, 14, 15-year-olds that are getting into carving. Like, that's awesome. So I take that as a payoff, you know, but as a financial standpoint, you know, I spent 2 days at an event, and it wasn't worth the work and effort that went into it as far as like finances go. Yeah. It really is for me. It's like the stores and consignment are what do really well. The online sales, forget it. Like, I don't even, like, sometimes I really have to ask myself, why am I even pursuing online sales? Like, it feels like I'm just taking money and burning it every year to even try to make sales online. I've had a Etsy store for years, and Etsy makes me just enough sales to pretty much pay for my Etsy fees. That's about it. I get maybe, I've kind of slowed down on even putting anything on there because Etsy was doing, like, still does, about 1 sale a month. Wouldn't matter. Put a ton of carvings on, put a bunch of great stuff on there. 1, maybe 2 sales a month and cover any fees that they had for me, and that'd be about it. So I've kind of just left that where it is. And then, like I was saying earlier, did the Shopify store, which is linked in this video. And, you know, that costs you money. It's like $40 a month currently. And that, you know, I've had that up for a little bit, and that hasn't yielded anything. So that might get shut down soon. I don't know. Sick of putting a bunch of time and money into stuff and it not, you know, not doing anything. Making videos and being here on YouTube's a bit different. You know, this is I enjoy this. I enjoy helping the new carver. I enjoy making the videos. I enjoy hanging out. Yeah, I mean, I've said it before, you know, like even on this, we're pushing like 31,000, just over 31,000 subs. We don't make a ton of money off this. This isn't like, this isn't one of those million subscriber channels, you know, where you're making bank. We make a little bit of money, and I'm grateful for it. But it's not a huge thing. I don't mean to. I'm just talking. Like I said, when we do this stuff, I just talk real. Like it is what it is. And I put it out there, and I think I just try to be real with you guys on a lot of these topics, right? Because like you watch a video, you learn to carve, and you're like, oh man, you know, this is how it's going to go. This is the plan. This is the whatever, whatever. And that's just like, for some people, it works out perfect. It works out fantastic, you know? They can do certain things, and they can take a turd and make it gold without trying. Fernando, I don't know what that is, man. You'll have to translate it. I can't read it, pal. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I keep the stores stocked. And the stores will send you a check every month, you know. Except for in the winter when it's usually slow. But that's where other carvers have done it better than me, and I can admit it. They end up they're able to bank enough back orders all summer that they do big orders all winter. It seems like I can never get enough big orders to carry through the full winter as far as carving goes, but I'll get orders in other things, whether it's furniture or whether I'm doing something else on the side. I mean, I'm hustling, you know. It's not a sit down and chill lifestyle, that's for sure. But it gives me the freedom when my son says, Dad, can we go fishing today? And it's Tuesday, 8 a.m. and I say, yeah, let's go. Let's do it, man. Let's go fishing. I'll take the hustle. I'll take those low points for the time I receive, though. We get it twisted. We truly do. Well, this whole conversation's been about, right, like making that money and stuff, but we get it twisted. We forget we only have so much time. And how we spend that time is truly, like, the important thing. And from a young age, going to school and everything, we're taught, you know, it's put in us. Maybe not intentionally by a teacher, but intentionally by a system that's already been in place. And that is to set you up to work a 9-to-5, sacrifice living, sacrifice your life to chase a dollar. Because I would say to people, ask yourself, what does it really mean to live? You know? What does it really mean to be living? While I hustle and do a lot of things, I have a lot more time, though, for freedom. Fernando, thank you. I appreciate it. Fernando, thank you. Doing different online shops, and do they do much in sales? So that's what I was talking about earlier. Is I have a Shopify store that I've recently done. That Shopify store, I think it will have been sometime this year will be a full year that it's been up. It's linked right here to YouTube. I have it on my other social media. I like, full disclosure, Shopify cost me $40 a month to have that platform. I don't know, what do we got, like 8-10 pieces on there. I should probably upload more work, which I'm gonna try to do through this spring and summer. And then I paid a professional website setter-upper guy $500 to take that site to the next level, right? That kind of felt like a fart in the wind. Might as well have burnt that $500 or whatever with it, because there were some adjustments made that seemed awesome, but like nothing's actually produced from that Shopify store. I've made zero money on that. So I've been paying $40 a month for, I don't know, we'll call it a year, plus another $500 to get that thing set up. And I guess he did, because he did behind the scenes things that make it operate and run smoothly, things that I couldn't figure out. So, that does make it where you make this investment, so it takes it out of your hands and somebody else can do the like the scripting and make it run smooth. So I shouldn't downplay what he did for me. He makes that site run smooth and did that. But I guess what gets me is, like, it hasn't produced anything. When you only have about 12 people go to the Shopify store a week, it doesn't work that way. So like Etsy, I've had for years, and Etsy, I will have about 1,200 people go through that store every couple weeks, and I'll make maybe one sale a month at the moment. But that I've also kind of slowed down, and I haven't uploaded any new carvings because, again, it wasn't producing. So I was kind of like, why am I wasting all my time taking pictures and writing all this stuff for Etsy when I make one sale a month? And that was when I had a lot of carvings on there. Now they're slowly, selling off older work, so the prices are much cheaper. Some of that stuff, I brought prices way down just to try and move it. Because I also was thinking, if Shopify takes off, then I'd be done with Etsy, But good luck with that. This isn't a ooh, poor me thing. This is me talking to you guys, just to give you guys, because I know I have a lot of new carvers that watch, and artists and things, like an idea of just like how these things go sometimes, just like reality. Sometimes this is just the way some of these things go, Cool. Little foxy. Hey, thanks. Yeah, Kirsten, a ton of work really does go into setting up a shop, staying on top of it, having product for it. If you can get a store that takes commission and sell on commission, and you can get a store that does well for you, a local business that wants to sell your work, gets enough foot traffic, you come up with a price, that works well for you, and you're happy with it and they're happy with it, that's like the easiest thing going, you know? That statement right there, exactly. I can carve a thing, but I don't always have a buyer for it, right? You don't have the right setting, you're not in the right area. Yep. The behind the scenes stuff is like the stuff, you know, YouTubers don't want to talk about and other artists don't want to share, and the ups and downs, you know, because, oh, I'm not this or that or my image. But honestly, I'm at a point where I'm like, you know what? It's kind of like take it or leave it, right? The people that are here and support you are going to support you. And maybe it'll help somebody else out in one way or another. The haters, the trolls, people that aren't going to support you anyway. So, whatever, you know? I'm kind of like, whatever. All right. So, this really is just kind of like a quick carve. This isn't something that took a ton of time to do. Other than I probably spent the same amount of time airbrushing it as I did carving it, you know? 65 minutes, and this is all we did. Yeah, so we spent way more time airbrushing this than we actually did carving. So, but also to that point, we're live, we're hanging out, and when I'm live and we're hanging out and I'm working on stuff, I don't consider this time lost, right? This time is like, this is content, this is hanging out with everybody. Let's see, there we go, you guys can see it there. We got black, but that guy's gonna need some other colors. This moose needs some highlights. I think behind the scenes is important. That's why I try to be real with you guys when we're live, right? I really do. I try to keep it real. I try to just be honest about it when we're live. What's going on, Michael? Thanks for being here, buddy. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, no problem, EG. Thanks for being here, man. 63 years old. Young. Eddie. I fear by the time I am 63, I won't be able to run saws anymore. And the reason is, I believe I fear this is what's going to happen is going to start having issues in my hands as time goes on. Seen it, heard about it with other carvers, issues with their hands, wrists, elbows, shoulders. I mean, Lord's blessed me with like good mobility and no issues up to this point, but I'll tell you what, if I fall asleep like this, that whole hand is dead. Or I fall asleep like this, fingers and the whole hand is dead. And then from the vibrating, I think all the time with the saw and the power tools, you know, kind of killing your nerve endings, your nerves. I've also noticed my wife gives me grief because I'll grab laundry out of the dryer, put it in a basket, and bring it upstairs because I think it's done, and then she'll tell me they're all wet still. I'm not feeling that. Like, oh, that's not good. Is what it is, though. Yeah, I haven't seen anything from Dennis in a minute. Tony, 20 people watching. That's most we've had all night. So we just airbrushed this guy. For anybody just watching. If anybody new's on, just joining in for the first time, feel free to share where you're from. I'm in upstate New York. We're just hanging out, talking, being real. Kind of behind the scenes YouTube artist, real life talk kind of stuff while we airbrush some pieces together. Yeah, that's what they say. I'm not an old man, I'm still a young 40, but I like to, you know, I think I'm at a point where I'm thinking, how many more little pieces do I want to do? Or how many more large and amazing pieces could I knock out before I can't run saws anymore, right? I could still have another 20, 30 years running saws, who knows? But that's kind of where my mind's been lately. Like, man, how much of this small stuff do I want to keep doing? Because this is stuff that moves, right? And how much time do I want to start putting into bigger things with higher detail and bigger projects, whether they sell or not, but to kind of just have those statement pieces that I just want to make. And if they sell, cool. And if they don't, we'll hopefully make a cool video and, you know, everybody watches. That's kind of where I'm like thinking about. Oh, I gotta do his eyes. It's kind of what I've been thinking about lately. I still gotta do some for the stores. I do have something else I'm working on too, but when you if you go full time as a carver, you know, hopefully you have all your stuff lined up, or you're prepared to hustle. Like in the winter, we get snow. I do snow removal. I spend my winter doing snow removal. I got, oh man, depends on the year sometimes, but we can have anywhere from 10 to 14 customers. I have 10 to 14 customers. Might not sound like a lot for some, but I snow blow driveways. I don't use a plow. I grew up watching my dad plow with his everyday driver truck and always having breakdowns and issues and having to sink so much money into it. I said, yeah, I will never put a plow on my truck. I would rather use a snow blower. And when it breaks, I can afford to just fix it or buy a new one if need be. I like to think that's what keeps me in shape all winter though. Trying out some new stuff as far as eyes, some paint marks, and then when you back it up a little bit, it kind of brings them to life. You know what I'm saying? Hope you're all doing well. 24 watching, 16 thumbs up. You guys are awesome tonight. Appreciate it. Bear and the boss lady. What is happening? Just hanging out, chatting. Real talk, you know. Behind the scenes kind of chat. Thank you, thank you. Anybody watching anybody else watching sell their works on an online site or store like Shopify, Etsy, or any other platform? Do we have anybody watching that uses any other platform or uses those platforms with any luck or with no luck? I am curious because that's stuff like I was talking about earlier, in case you're just tuning in. Just wondering how other people do with it, you know, how you guys make out. If you do well, if you don't, if you're in the same boat, or maybe you've just been thinking about using those platforms. I'm just curious. They say curiosity killed the cat, so hopefully I don't die from the question, but you know, whatever. This bear I received back from one of the stores that I sell through, and he had a big old crack down the face, big old crack down his face. And I did a repair, but now the one eye is totally blacked out from the paint, so. Yeah, I can totally understand that, Bear, not being interested in online sales. You know, so many companies, businesses, corporations expand so large, though, by being online, right? You have a larger reach. While I just kind of said how my online stuff makes me about break-even money, it's also tough because sometimes you have to invest money to get it going. And then, like right now, Etsy, I've been on Etsy for years. It tends to make just enough sales on Etsy to cover the bill. And I kind of haven't uploaded any new work there. Maybe I should. But it kind of gets draining, you know? You put up dozen, 20, 30 pieces in the past, and then they sit for a year, 2 years. You sell one once a month. It's draining, you know? So I started that Shopify store that's linked right here to the live. This is what we were talking about earlier. And Shopify charges you like 20 bucks a month or 40 bucks a month. And then I invested in a guy to make the site run smooth, make it more attractive, make it flow well so that it would work with YouTube and it would work with TikTok. That was a $500 investment on top of the 40 bucks a month. And what is it, like this fall maybe will be a full year. That hasn't produced one sale. So I would like to try and give it a 2-year mark, but it's tough to, you know, have the drive to keep investing in things that aren't producing things, you know. So that's what I was talking about. That's what I was asking if anybody watching has any of those online stores, or if they have any luck with those things. The algorithms they're always a weird thing on these platforms, you know. Oh, let's see, we got black and the airbrush. So trying to get done what I can. This bear, I think I'm going to leave this guy a brown bear, a brown welcome bear. The eagle will need black, but I'm not really ready to do that until I do some brown, because I want to do highlights. I've been doing reviews on TikTok, and I think I've made more money off TikTok reviews than I have selling carvings online this month, to be honest. Which kind of cracks me up, but whatever. We'll leave this guy like he is. Hit those eyes. A little bit of white in there. A little light brown. Dennis, I haven't seen Dennis in a while, guys. He's here too on my channel every now and then. I almost think Dennis is a member here, but I haven't been live in a while. And usually, Dennis doesn't make every live, but usually I get a comment from Dennis on other videos or something. I haven't heard from Dennis in a minute. If we're talking about the same Dennis, which I assume we are, because I'm pretty sure he follows Baron the Boss Lady as well. Hopefully he's alright. Hopefully he doesn't have any major issues going on and he's just busy, you know. Alright, that's done. I'm not doing any more on this guy. A little bit of color in his eyes. Probably tough to see on screen, but... Bang. Bing, 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 bing. Oh yeah, I should have done the orange on these guys' beaks. Didn't even think about that. If you're gonna airbrush, have some cardboard for your adjustments. Don't make them on the carving. At least the first ones. Once you're on the carving and you have like that small setting, then you can adjust as you go, but if anybody wants a cardinal, these are available in the Shopify store right now as well. Along with the moose, little bears, and some wall art. Cardinals like this are usually a good seller, especially in the winter, around Christmas time. They do halfway decent throughout the year. And then the beak will get a little bit of orange. And that'll be that. Swap this out. Guys ready for some orange? What do we got going on? 13 watching, 17 thumbs up. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, Tay Marie started selling on Facebook and then her stuff took off, right? Just getting caught up here. Yeah, so this is where I fall short. I don't take enough time to study subjects and slow myself down. I want to just pump out work, and I've been carving since 2015. My pieces should look way nicer, you know, but I do too many things, and so I don't spend enough time focusing on really nice stuff like she does. She's got some really great work. However, I'm thinking this year is really going to be one of those years where, for me, I'm going to start really focusing on that stuff, because I really want my work to step up and stand out. Like I said, I'm getting bored with craft fairs. I want to start doing some higher end looking pieces, more details, larger. I had a lot of fun doing the black walnut carvings that I did, and you know, I might even lean toward doing some more stuff like that. I have seen more and more carvers that have only been carving a very short period of time doing absolutely phenomenal work. Just phenomenal work. Little bear by a tree. Scrap wood piece. Nothing crazy. Yes, I am impatient, Bear. I want to, like... I appreciate it, Bear. I appreciate it, man. I do. Original OG. Yeah, I don't know. I know I can produce better pieces, though. Like, I know that if I could slow myself down, I can produce better pieces. You know what I mean? But I have a hard time doing that. One, because I want to get the piece done, and I want to move on to the next idea that I've got, right? Or I want to get orders done, or I want to get stock done for the stores. I want to get those things moving. But then in the back of my mind, I'm like, you know, it took me this long to create this piece, which is okay or pretty good compared to some other people that can do eagles that are like, wow, is that a real bird, right? If I took more time and I practiced and did half a dozen this exact size, I'm sure I could hone that in. But then my brain tells me this. It's like, okay, well, you did this piece. You've had a couple $100 on it for a couple years and it didn't move. So if I take a piece to the next level and I spend hours on it and I want $500, am I just going to sit on it forever, or is it going to move? So that's the thing that holds me back sometimes from like putting forth more effort. But then again, would more effort reciprocate, right? Instead of spending an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours on a piece, spend 6, 7, or 8 hours the entire day on that piece and really make that piece into something, you know, over the top. Would that make a difference? You know? These are the voices in my head that talk to me, ask me these questions. If you're an artist, you know, you have those voices too. Oh, you know what? Before we move into mushrooms and little gnomes, this horse, this horse could use, it's a horse of course, could use some color. Ta-da. Thanks, Bear. Just going back reading you guys' stuff. T. Ritz, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, doing duplicates definitely help out. Yeah. So it's like cardinals, quick carves. Bears are now quick carves. Those are things that can just be reproduced with half thinking about it. You know what I mean? The moose, quick carve. Those are things you can just hammer through, and I can hammer through and just be done with them. This, I carved this live at that show in Saratoga. I've never made one of these. So this was the first, right? Trying to put a horse in a piece of 2x with probably a dozen people or better standing around. So that was fun. I like those challenges though. Thanks, Kirsten. Yeah, like a chess piece head, right? For that horse. I've done a couple horse bench, or one or two horse benches over the years, with like the bust of the horse on the end, bench in the middle kind of thing. I did the dual horse head carving on site for a guy, and then this, and I've done a couple small busts for practice, but I don't really do a ton, and I should, because Saratoga is the racetrack, the horse track. I should get into more horses and try to infiltrate that area, if you will. I'll tell you what, if you guys want something to get really good at that you can make some money on, dogs. I've done a few, but then I get frustrated that they don't look perfect, and then I don't want to do them. Dogs, though, you can get really good at doing pets. Dogs, cats, dogs and cats. If you can do someone's beloved pet, you would be, you'd have more work than you want, probably. Now, I would dare say most of you know Ryan Villers, right? I mean, you can't tell me you don't. If you got Ryan Villers, you guys know who Ryan is, right? Please say yes. If you guys say no, I know you're full of crap. Unless, well, yeah, there's no way you don't know who Ryan Villers is. Oh, the magic of highlights. I'll tell you guys what. Barrett, thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it. So, Ryan Villers, guys, amazing carver. If you guys don't know who Ryan Villers is, you should look him up on Facebook. He was on A Cut Above. He has done The Grinch. He has done pieces that stand out. He has done, he's done a lot. He's done all kinds of things, and they're very realistic, very on point kind of carvings. He's done Elf from the movie Elf. And his work inspires me. And if you go and you watch the show A Cut Above that he ends up being on, when he's on the show, he tells you he's only been carving 5 years. And I've been following him long enough to know what his work looked like leading up to that 5 years, and it's absolutely astounding to see what his work looks like. Yeah, little figurines will help too. That's nice. You know what I'll draw inspiration on as far as cuts if I want to try something new? Yeah, if you've never heard or you don't know Ryan Villers' work, you got to look him up on Facebook. His stuff is just phenomenal. It's phenomenal. I mean, yeah, I know Ryan Cook and Ryan Cook's work. He's a great entertainer. He's a great carver. He's a really cool dude. We've chatted on the side messenger, you know, back and forth. I have seen his work and I think it really is good and I like it. But I haven't seen him do a human face. I haven't seen him do like in comparison to Ryan Villers, like the human faces that he yeah, something like that. Yeah, I think that's it, Kirsten, something like that. I haven't seen him like do that. I haven't done it either, so I'm not knocking him in any way. It's not like that at all. I haven't seen him carve, you know, like the human form, like the way I've seen Ryan be able to pull it off. Very, very proportionate and very just like on point, and that like drives me, you know. Like Ryan's work drives me to say, okay, Ryan Villers' work drives me to say, okay, I want to step my stuff up. His work is absolutely just astounding, and I get my inspiration off that when I'm really trying to do something new, or I, you know, want to push a piece a little bit farther. I'll look at his work and think, you know, the possibilities to do that are there. And I absolutely will not knock another artist that is just, you know, I won't knock anybody anyway, even if they're not good, but I use that artwork for inspiration anyway, is what I'm getting at. I think I'm done with the horse. I don't even think I'm going to put any white in the eye. I think we're going to leave the horse as it is with just our highlights. So it's all burnt, and then we just highlighted some black. So the black really makes the muscular structure, you know, like pop. So if you guys want to take your pieces to another level, you can carve that lightly, and then you can add those black highlights, you know. It'll make your piece really stand out. Even when you guys do your wood spirits and those wood faces, I've only done a few, but take black paint and an airbrush if you get into it, and do that with your highlights, you know, like highlight around the eyes and those shadow areas, accentuate the shadow areas, the valleys and the gullies with a little bit of black airbrushing, and it'll make that piece pop out that much more. Okay. What in the world do I want to do now? It's getting late, but I want to get this stuff wrapped up. So these guys, we're just going to go doop, 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 doop. We're not going to get too meticulous or particular as to our spots. Little mushrooms. I don't even think I'm going to paint the bases of these white. I think I'm just going to leave them burnt wood color, unless we bust white out again for something else, then maybe we will, but I forgot about the bases when I had the white already out. Plus, keep in mind, people when they're buying a wood carving, they really don't mind seeing the wood sometimes, you know. I'm gonna paint all these little spots I carved in with my amazing painting skills. I don't like that. I shouldn't have done that one, but alright, good enough. All that one done. So what is left on the docket? Let's see here. We got, this guy needs color. Orange beaked, green top. Dunzo, done. These are done. He'll need some brown. These guys are just going to get their beaks painted on. So this orange, pretty bright stuff. But if the beak's already totally red, make sure your brush is pretty clean. You can take that bright orange. You can spread it out over that red beak, because I painted these whole things with rattle can, and then just did the black highlights with the airbrush. Orange beak, that'll dry and that'll lighten up because we didn't lay it on heavy, we just kind of spread it right out. I've been thinking about putting together a carving book. And I've been thinking about putting together digital classes. My wife's been thinking I should really do that. But I said, you know, I have classes right here on YouTube people can watch. But she seems to think people would want to buy classes that they could download in a step-by-step sort of booklet as well. So I don't know. I might be doing that next. Simple small carve kind of stuff, beginner stuff, you know. Boom, so those will dry and these will be done. Bear and the boss lady leaving. Bye-bye. You guys probably left a while ago. Favorite clear coatings. Favorite clear coat would be the Helmsman. I don't think I have it out here because I was going to bring that out with my cordless sprayer. That thing is sick. I'll try to do a video on that and tag it so you guys can buy through a link one of these days. But having a cordless sprayer, you just pop your DeWalt batteries in, fill it up, no cords. That thing's awesome. That'll also be really sweet for on-site carves. Really cool. Really cool. Trying to think, and it hurts, so I shouldn't think. But you know what? I think I'm going to rattle can the top of this green rather than airbrush it. So this piece will be done with that. Outside. Maybe we'll move into some gnomes. So what do we have here? I'm trying to think. I think I'm done. Kind of done with black. After this owl, I think we'll be done with black. Paint's a little thick on this side. Highlights though, highlights. Later, Michael. Thanks for being here, man. Appreciate you guys all that stop by and hang out, hit subscribe and watch. Like, sometimes you guys really are what keep you guys keep the drive going, you know. If I didn't get to have conversations and I didn't get feedback from you guys, there would really just be no point in doing any of this, you know? It really wouldn't be. So, I do appreciate it. And I'm glad, I really am. It makes me, it sounds kind of corny, I guess, but it really makes me happy to know that, like, the videos I produce, like the tutorials, really do help quite a few of you out in pursuing, you know, your want to chainsaw carve. You know, it's like your talent's already there. You just need a little help getting it out. And really am grateful and happy that my videos are able to give you a little bit of guidance and help you cultivate that. So I really do appreciate, appreciate you guys. Just some highlights. Boom. Quick highlights. We'll do some yellow on those eyes later on. So the eagle will have to get yellow on those toes. Eagle toes. Black, I try to leave for last, and I didn't. Black is the toughest color to get out of the airbrush. Well, next to red. Red is... it always seems like when you got red cleaned out, red is still there. It's never actually gone. Later, EG. Thanks for being here. Yeah, hey, you're welcome. What's the point of any of this if you're not, sharing it with other people and trying to help them out? That's the way I'm looking at it. I've seen carvers start after me, whether my videos have helped them out or not in their work. I look to for inspiration, I mean, example, Ryan Villers. He hasn't been I've been carving longer than him, and his work is outstanding. Cody. My man Cody. Now I can't think of Cody's last name. That's awful. But Cody runs the Beginner Carvers page on Facebook. Cody, I think, watched my channel early on, and now look at his work. That dude is like... that guy's carving skills, I can't even... That's not for me. That guy's carving skills are just ridiculously awesome as well. He does some amazing, amazing work as well. He's a very meticulous guy. And we had a conversation, I think it was last year, we were chatting on the phone. I think we FaceTimed. And he's going over his design process and how he nails down a piece before he actually even starts a saw. And it was really, really cool to get that insight. Really awesome. It's always amazing to hear how other artists come up with their ideas and how they prep. I always find it really just very interesting. I'll admit, my work could probably have more detail, but I just don't spend the time in the research. What I end up doing is I get this idea in my head, and then I just go for it. I might do a quick sketch. But then from there, it's just it's all or nothing. And they just start ripping saws and just, whatever. Like the steel bear that I did. The steel bear. Bear holding the chainsaw, holding that steel chainsaw. That was just something that I wanted to do. Had this idea since I started carving. And the idea was, well, if I'm going to carve, I got to carve a bear with a chainsaw at some point. So that idea had been kicking around for a long time. Never drew it in that time frame. And then... I'd say the year that I ended up actually carving the steel bear, I did a very quick, rough, laughable sketch just for a pattern idea, and then just kind of grabbed the saws, picked a log, and said, that's what we're going to do. And this year, I'm hoping for the time, though, to set forth the time to take a project like that was just my own thing, and to do a little more study, a little more work, a little more legwork, I should say, into the design and everything. And then see if we can come up with some really, see if we can come up with at least one or two over-the-top pieces this year. I've also been thinking about, I don't know how many of you were around for the, oh, that's cool. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks, baby kiss. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so I want to try to carve up a couple over-the-top pieces. I've got to do a I've got to do a mountain man figure for a buddy of mine. I carve on his property. In my videos, I'll be any one of 3 locations in videos. I move around a lot. Not like moving my family around, but as far as where I work. So if I'm getting logs, my brother-in-law has a log yard I go to. If we're in the tent carving and it looks super familiar, then we're probably at my place in my carving tent at my house. And then my buddy has a property a town over, and I have another tent set up with no walls, no power, and I run the big saws there for the most part. And I'm gonna carve him a mountain man figure. Now, I haven't done the human form really at all. So the goal though is going to be like a mountain man, full brim kind of hat, maybe big full beard, you know, probably with like suspenders maybe, or just like a flannel overhanging, pair of pants, boots, and like a musket to the side, and maybe a trap or something else clutched in the other hand, or maybe just a lantern, you know. So you got a musket here going down and a lantern here. But I'm really hoping to make that a really awesome piece for him. I think it's going to be around 6-7 feet tall. I think 6 feet is about the log that I've got set aside for that. So that's going to be a big one to do. Should just kind of do it that too. It's not really even going to be a, you know, probably won't get moved around. I'll carve it right there at his place. Hopefully we'll pour a slab or get some gravel down, and it'll get set 150 feet away from where I'm going to carve it, and that's where it'll stay. Oh, I've actually got one of my older pieces in here from several years back. Years ago, I did my first on-site, I think it was my first on-site carving, and it was a Husky Malamute mix dog for a customer of mine. And I like fun and challenging pieces. I really do. It's just having time to do them sometimes. And I had a customer reach out, and they wanted a Husky Malamute mix dog. His dog carved out of a big maple stump that was left behind. And I explained, like, man, I really haven't done a lot of dogs. And he said, that's okay. I've been on your page. You know, I really would love to just give you the opportunity to do this. Let me know how much. And I really, nowadays, I'm like, wow, I charged, really didn't charge much at all. But the work also, you know, fairly new. But that video is on here from years ago, carving that Husky Malamute. It'd be in the customer orders or customer carvings video page that I've got here on YouTube. But I did a mock one, a test run kind of thing for him first, and he was like, yeah, that looks good, let's go with it. Since then though, I have painted it to look similar to a German Shepherd. So there it is there, and it's just like a bust, you know. And I'm in the midst, I gotta do some highlights and just clean it back up. I had that done. It's been around for a long time. It's been to stores, it's been to shows. Could never sell it. It looked like a Husky. Now I'm changing it back to look like a German Shepherd. I'm gonna paint those eyes and do some highlights on it and stuff. We'll see if it sells. Put a real cheap price on it and see if it goes here at the next show or two. Because like I said, this year I'm gonna do doing the shows I normally do, and then I think next year will be the, you know, I'm going to start weeding them out. And if this year's events don't produce, then I'm going to kick them off my list of things to do. And that's one, sick of all the work that goes into doing an event and a show and not getting a reward for it. But two, I also have some other opportunities coming up that I'm really interested in. And I don't know, events just take me away from the family, and it's not a high reward. Painting the hats. These these little fellas. Alright, swap that red out. Now we're losing everybody, huh? It's getting late. 15 watching, 17 thumbs up. If you're just tuning in, smash that like button, hit subscribe. Try to go live. Chainsaw carving and airbrushing if anybody who's on here. We only have the boring real talk when I'm airbrushing. Color swapped out. Darn it, cleaned out black. I knew I was going to need it again. I should have done the shoes on my gnomes black before I swapped that color out. But I didn't. That is what it is. Ohio, what's going on, Rick? How you doing, man? Thanks for being here. Working on pieces. Gotta go make dinner. Oh my gosh. It is 10:09 at night. We'll just say 10:10 p.m. where I am. You go make dinner. Swapping colors. I think I sprayed some red on I got my iPad over there. I think I sprayed some red on it. Let's see here. What are we gonna do with our little gnomers? I don't even know. Let's go with some gray. We'll go gray, blue, and black. Maybe we won't have to rinse out so much color. Let's see what happens. All right. Simmer that down. Gray beard. Hey, you're welcome. Let's get rid of the gray. Let's see here. Blue. Hey, everybody hanging out. Now we got a handful of people on here still. You guys are hanging in there, or maybe you're just tuning in. Feel free to tap that screen. Hit subscribe if you guys haven't before. Hey, Tony, I like that idea. I might have to try that. Gnome sleeping under a mushroom. That'd be really cool. I was carving these mushrooms quite a bit, like that flat top, dome top. And then I carved these at the show. I like these a bit more. A little more whimsical, a little more movement with that top, you know. I can see a gnome under like that style. I like that. This guy is hat, beard, nose, jeans, and boots. That's it. Little fellas. Wow, 10 people. 10 at 10. 10 after 10. Alright, I said red was tough to get rid of, but blue seems to be a pretty good one. gnomes, the fox. All these fellas are about done, minus their boots, but I'm not doing that black right now. Let's get back to our eagle. Yeah, water cleanup. I'm using water-based. They're considered stains. So it's a water-based stain. I'm using a solid state, or a solid stain though. Not semi or translucent. If you use a solid stain, as you thin it out, it gets thinner. So when you spray it, it's not so heavy, and then you're able to build it up. If you went with one of the other ones, they're already thinned out, and then when you thin it out so it works with the airbrush, it gets even thinner. You're gonna have to put even more coats of paint on to achieve like the first layer that you would, receive with this sort of setup. And somebody would say, well, then don't thin it out, but you have to, otherwise it's too thick and it won't run through the airbrush. See, the looked cooler a minute ago. I don't know if you guys can see. It's like in a well, now it's not. It was like a tie-dye pool of colors in that waste bucket. Moving on to some brown. So that brought it to life a little bit. Switch over to black. Refill my little water bottle because that's easier to handle. Anybody getting tired? I'm getting tired. Hey, 20 thumbs up and 12 watching. We got more thumbs up than viewers. Heck yeah, I'll take it. It's awesome. We gotta rinse out this brown and then we'll move into some black here for our eagle. His colors are a little bit heavier than I'd like, but kind of tough to do these specific colors light and have them look decent. Like the white, it's really tough to do white lightly, because then the wood shines through, and you don't want that brown to shine through. You want it to be white. Now this piece has been clear coated, so hopefully we won't have sap and things like that sort of shining through. There aren't really any knots, but hopefully the colors will stay kind of vibrant. Sometimes if you clear coat and then you add colors that are going to be brighter, you get a little bit more of a vibrant end result than just plain airbrushing the wood with no clear coat. Back to black. But first, I gotta do it this way or I'm gonna be gassed out here. Wrap these little fellas up real quick and then we'll get our eagle done. Black shoes on our gnomes. Wanted to clear coat these tonight too, but getting a little late for this fella. Little gnomers to go with the mushrooms. Alright, they're done. Yeah, turn this horsepower down here a little bit. This is kind of a little too much. Spilling black down my hand. Have a good one, baby kiss. Thanks for being here. See you later, Tony. Thanks for hanging out, man. Appreciate you guys. Whew. I'm cooked. Done. I'm gonna rinse this thing out, and I'll be calling it a night, I think. Maybe. I don't know. Handful of people watching still. You guys are crazy. Appreciate you being here, though. I think the airbrushing brought that eagle to life, that shadowing. It was just burnt colors, raw wood, and decided it needed some color to it. I'll give you guys a close up of this piece here in just a second. Let me get this thing cleaned out quick. Nice working with water-based colors. Cleanup is so easy. Well, for the 10 of you here, just finished airbrushing this piece. If you're new, carved it up with a chainsaw. I don't do a ton of eagles, but might start doing some more. We'll see. That's it. Appreciate everybody hanging out. All of you that may have hung in there, you're just stopping in, be sure to hit subscribe. You guys won't miss future carvings and lives, airbrushing and carving live as well. So appreciate everybody who's here today. Hope you have an awesome rest of your week, and I'll catch you guys later.